Welcome to the Scruffy City Aquatics live stream. I'm glad to have you. My name is Mitch, and I'm here with Tanner.
Hey, everybody.
I don't know that I've gotten into a rhythm of starting these things yet.
We do need
Let me
we
turn
need
that
a
down.
good intro,
Yeah, some music or
staple
something. I can
intro.
put that together. I've got music that I like to use at the beginning of all my videos. I already have it made. I should use, actually, I may even have it loaded on here. Amateur. Let's see, did I put a video file in here? No. Okay. All right. That's something to do some other time. But I have one made. You could use it. It could be fun. Anyway, for those of you who are already here, welcome. Glad to have you. And for those of you on the replay, thank you for checking this out, either watching or listening to this live stream. We're glad to have you. We have a good time each and every week on Tuesday night. Hope you can join us sometime 9 p.m. Eastern time or so, as it was like 9:02 tonight. So we try to be here at 9. Tanner was here early. I was away. I got back and then I realized I forgot something. And so I ran and I came back, and then I realized I forgot my water. And so I ran and I came back, and now we're here. So we're ready to go.
Looks
We
like we've
also want to
got
take a moment
TJ
and thank the
Autocross.
mods.
Yeah.
I saw that Fishy on Tanktics was in at 9:43 a.m. this morning, making sure they were the first one to post. Now, keeping is here. TJ, like you said, is here.
Yep. And then Zenny just popped in. Hey, Zenny, hope you're doing well. And then Nancy B just popped in. Hope you're doing well. Coro Works is here saying, wait, y'all are singing a new theme song for us. We didn't say we were going to sing.
Yeah, it's more like a I don't know, something like that maybe. You just need to add something to it, and we'll run that.
We keep fish. We don't do lyrics or musical numbers.
Yeah, there's some people that are good at both, but not me. TJ says that they are on a Tetra kick and added some Pristillas and gold Tetras to the 40-gallon community tank.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was saying I've got some of those Pristillas or Pristilla Tetras in my 40, and they're a cool little Tetra. They've got subtle but impactful coloration, and they school really well.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm familiar with them. I'll have to look them up.
Yeah, they've kind of got their body itself is gray, and then their tail has some red coloring, and then their top fin and their the bottom, or I think is a caudal fin has black and yellow and white stripes, horizontal stripes.
Okay. Yeah, I have seen those. I don't think I've ever seen them like local, but I have seen them online.
You may have, because in the store they look completely washed out.
Oh, then maybe. Yeah, and I'm not a huge Tetra. I've had Tetras, but it's not a fish that I've really. I guess I like the Rasbora, Harlequin Rasboras, and that's kind of the similar fish, although different. But you kind of get the same schooling behavior. And so I've done those. I've also had neons. I've never done cardinals, but I'd like to have a large tank of cardinals. And one of my favorite fish that I'll probably never keep, which means I'll have to keep them, is the Congo Tetra.
Yes, they are stunning. If they weren't so expensive, I would have them, but I can't. When you've got to get 8 to 10 of a fish and they're $12 plus each, it's a little hard to justify. If it was something that I could breed, and I know I could do it, yes, but I can't. I'm not gonna start breeding tetras. That's just not my cup of tea and
Yeah.
above my skill
And
level.
they get pretty large too, don't they? I mean,
Yeah,
they're not like about 5-6 inches.
yeah, I think I mean, because they get the big flowy tails. I'd say tail span,
Oh,
yeah, probably 5 inches,
yeah. I
maybe more.
know
But
the only time I've seen some adult Congo tetras is at that display Aquatic Marine has.
mhm,
I need to go down there and film the store and talk about it because I
yeah,
mean, I know other people have done walkthroughs at Aquatic Marine, but you get a different perspective from everybody because I pay attention to different things than Sean or James would, or
mhm.
even somebody who's in town visiting the store. So I need to do that. I need to get with them and make sure we work that out one day. Um, I have snuck a camera in there and filmed stuff before.
Looks like we've got the Nano Aquarium guy. Welcome, welcome. Muppet 929 3G. 3G saying they've got albino and regular Congo tetras.
Mm,
Yeah, I did not realize they had albinos.
no.
Bet you they look pretty interesting.
Keeping says that they came back from a trip and the emergency move of the fish went well. So that's good to hear. The theme could be a diss track for your least favorite plants. Uh, oh wow! So the chat just jumped on me and added. I thought I was at the bottom. I was like, "Oh man, we're ready to get started."
No, you were a little ways from the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, Nancy's like, "Sing, sing, sing." No, Nancy, we don't want any of that. All right. Let's try to go ahead and go over the topic. That way, it's on the front end of the live stream, and then we'll
Okay.
have some more discussion. I'm sure we'll have discussion with the chat as we talk about this. That's typically how our discussions go. And then I just had a few things also that I got some pictures of that I wanted to share, kind of an update on things since my update video isn't out yet. Slacker. It's almost ready. It'll be this week, maybe.
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 I've been saying I'll start doing videos for a year now, so
Yeah.
pushing it a week isn't bad.
Let's see, where do I want us? That'll work. I'll put us over there. I got something itching going on today on my nose. Can't leave it alone. Yeah, so we're going to talk about plants that we don't like. That's the topic. And we purposefully, I think I titled this Our Least Favorite Plants, because it's not that we would never like them. It's, there's a reason why they're not our favorite plants. There's a reason why we don't have them currently. And then I guess, well, maybe that's not true for all of them, but we'll talk
Yes.
about that when we get there.
I'm looking at several plants that I want to talk about that I am physically looking at right now.
Okay. All right.
I don't.
Right.
It's not that I can't stand them, but there are reasons why they are not
Your favorite.
My favorite or ranking plants that I desire and would seek out.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do want to say that this is all opinion. This is just us talking about some of the plants that have bothered us in the hobby, and some plants that we necessarily. So duckweed nano aquarium guy. That's funny, huh? We should have thought of duckweed. That is a plant.
Forgot about it.
I consider it just a demon, not a plant. But yeah, let's see what's first. What is first? Okay, my clicker didn't work. Hold on. I don't know what's going on with that mouse. It works. Hey, that image didn't change much.
The recent bane of my existence, Xyrus SP Red. Stunning
cool
plant. It looks incredible, but as you can see on the plant on the right has all the leaves on the left look pretty drab and bad compared to the others. And I got that plant in, and it looked incredible. And it did this fun thing where over the course of several months, it slowly died leaf by leaf, and I got to watch its demise.
So
But
now you don't think this was like transitioning it? I mean, how long had you had it?
I had had it for about 3 months.
Okay.
So it definitely was not. The reason it makes my list, the Xyrus, and I almost want to extend it to a broader range of plants that want soft water.
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay.
was told that the guy that I'd gotten this from kept it. He was like, I do RO in my tanks. This, and he remineralizes a very soft water, and I'm not going to. Maybe one day I'll keep one small tank with some rare plants that needs soft water, but I'm not going to change the water that I use just for specific plants.
How big
So
do these get?
that was probably 3.5, 4 inches tall,
Yeah.
the larger one. And I think that's about as large as they get.
So you could do it in a nano tank and do RO water.
Yeah, you could definitely do it in a nano tank, but just it was so frustrating because I kept seeing new leaves pop up, and the guy was like, "Hey, how's it doing?" Because he was curious because he's like, "I've never kept them in hard water before." So I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, I got some leaves melting," but he's like, "Oh, that's fine, that's normal." And I was like, "But I got some new leaves," and he's like, "Awesome." And then slowly, one by one, the leaves melted away, and it's a very cool plant because it's actually, if you look at it, it almost looks 2D from the side. It's so thin that it's just a very cool, interesting plant.
It looks like it's like that. I mean, is that?
Yeah, I mean, it literally,
growing, right? Okay.
Yeah, it basically grows like that, like your hand spread out. Very cool plant, but not my friend. So I guess you could say this one is one of my least favorite plants, but I'm probably this plant's least favorite person.
Yeah. Yeah. So for someone who would consider keeping this plant, you need to have soft water. And that's important to know. There are a few plants that, I mean, well, not a few. There are plants that prefer soft and plants that, do okay or do well in hard water. Yeah, so anything else on this one? Like it's so red, I would imagine, and small, I would imagine you would need highlight.
Yeah, from what I was told, because if you look it up, there's not a ton of information. A few forum threads and some Etsy sellers. But besides that, it's not classified as or not been described as a species. Very cool plant, but it needs extremely high lighting, extremely high CO2. Basically, you have to have a tank that is focused on plants.
Yeah. I noticed that Muppet and 3G have been in the chat. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. And I was going to mention a few of these. We've got some. Number one is duckweed, right? Wolfia, I believe Nancy brought that up at a previous live stream, if it wasn't the last one, and started giving me nightmares. I had to see someone about that and get some counseling.
You'll get the bill, Nancy.
Brandon says duckweed and azola. Yeah.
I like azola.
You like azola?
Yeah, it's like the pretty duckweed.
Pretty duckweed. It is interesting. It's like an evergreen meets a duckweed.
Yeah,
it makes me think of.
From what I remember about it, yeah, it's actually a type of fern, which is really cool. Yeah. But it's in the fern family, and it's like supposedly a prehistoric fern, basically. Like it's been around just forever.
Need that mouse to work. Ah, there we go. That works. Okay, so something's going out on that. Okay, all right. Because every time I click, I'm sure it's picking it up on the mic with the computer. So I want to fix that. I don't want that clicking going on. Keeping says hornwort, ? We did discuss hornwort. And hornwort would have made our list, but we didn't have any pictures.
I have not kept it in years because I do not like it at all.
Yeah. I have it. I have had it in a tank, but not intentionally. It came in with something from one of the swaps, I believe. Um, and it did start growing, and then it just decided to shed all of its needles, and I think I've pulled it all out since.
Yeah, my immense dislike for hornware comes from working at an aquarium store, and we would get a big shipment of hornwort in, and with the way that hornwort sheds, you have to scoop that tank constantly. The filters would just, it was like
Oh
throwing a
yeah,
Christmas tree in a tank. Just scoop,
yeah,
scoop,
I could
scoop.
see that. Another one. We're going to talk about all the ones we didn't put on the list. Another one that I feel like I should have put on the list, but I didn't think of until just now. Um, and again, it's least favorite. We're not saying we'd never keep these. We're not saying that we don't have them now. We're just saying they're least favorite. One of those for me would be the water lettuce. I do like having it in the pond. It's very helpful in the pond, but I have had it in aquariums, and it will just drop its roots, just like hornwort will drop its needles, and they go everywhere and then get sucked into the filter. And it was such a pain. I say it was. I currently have a 10-gallon that has some in it. And I've been slowly removing it a little bit more rapidly than it can reproduce. And I have to clean that filter every single time I do any maintenance on that tank because it always has a buildup of those little fine roots that just, I don't know, they just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go off on my own. All right, we will take a look at the next one, and it should be no surprise to anyone.
Duckweed.
Yeah, duckweed made the list. Absolutely.
And that's a big
Yeah.
old handful of duckweed.
Yeah, was that yours?
It was. That picture was after vacation. I came back, had the tank cleared out. There was a couple leaves, I can't fully get rid of it. And then
Yeah.
came back and I was like, wow, the tank is really dark. Is the light on?
Yeah.
No, I have a 3-inch mat of duckweed.
Yeah, I have had that as well. I've had the 75 almost covered completely. And I hate the look of it. I mean, when it starts, here's my problem that I keep running into right now. I mean, one, it's very difficult to get rid of. If you've got any tall plants, duckweed, you just about can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd have to keep my water level low and remove all the tall plants for a while in order to get rid of it. And that just sounds like a lot of work.
It gets trapped. Any plants on the surface, they hold on to it. And my biggest issue is my guppies. All the guppy fries sit up right under the duckweed. So if I go to scoop it out, I just get a net full of duckweed and guppy fry. And I'm like, do I like the guppies that much? But no. So what I do is that I pour the duckweed into a bucket. Or I just put the whole guppy duckweed mixture into a bucket. Yep. It's kind of ironic. I mean, that's like the two aquarium things that just you get thousands of.
Yep.
But it's and after learning that duckweed actually flowers, it has microscopic flowers which produce immense amounts of seeds, so you can completely get rid of duckweed, all of the living plants, and then still have them come back from seed, which is pretty ridiculous.
I wish it wasn't in the hobby. I wish I never got it. I looked because I was trying to find some pictures today, and I have a few albums from the aquariums, and I was looking for one specifically because I took a picture of the very first piece of duckweed that I found in the 75. It's a social media post. I could probably find it, but yeah, I wish I had pulled it out that day. And it is one of those things where every time I have to do anything to the tank, I first have to spend a long time getting duckweed out, or I'm going to track it all over the house. And yeah, I don't like that. I don't like getting it all over me.
That's the thing. You get in your tank anytime and, I have duckweed on her.
Yep.
I did not have duckweed until the start of this year.
Oh,
I got it from an ETAA club member.
well, I did too. No, that's not true. I got it before then. You might have got it from me. I haven't given you any plants, have I? Oh, the
uh,
Anubias.
the Anubias, but I got it actually from Curtis.
Okay, that makes sense too.
Funnily enough, he had given me the Episto fry, and I was so
Yeah,
excited to have those that I just poured the bag in the tank because they were.
yeah.
I set up a new tank for him, and I looked, and I was like, "Oh no!" And the next thing I know, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Now, here's something, and I don't know, I can't say with any certainty that this is how I got duckweed. Um, I had not added anything to the 75 for months. It had just kind of been doing its thing. And I bought a mystery snail. So I'm pretty sure that mystery snail pooped a duckweed seed. Because I mean, unless it was
Yeah.
chapped on it somewhere. But I mean, it really. I don't. I think I would have. I think I would have seen it. I guess unless it was up in the shell or something. But it's
Yeah,
the only. It's the only thing I added.
the whole time at the store that mystery snail was stuffing its shell with duckweed is like, I'm gonna get somebody.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it pooped that thing out, and that's where it
I
came
feel
from.
like that can happen because I mean, same with some mosses. I've had it completely dried out, and I've just been like
Yeah,
added some. Like I had a tank that I got that had like duckweed like dead on the side of it, and I
yeah.
filled it up outside, and the duckweed came back to
Nancy B is declining on paying for my therapy. All right, Nancy.
life.
Brandon asked, anyone else fell with Dark Skeleton King? Is that the Buse you have?
I don't have that type of booze, but
Okay. I was
um,
wondering if it was, let me pull it up. This back here. But
um,
I get, no, never mind. Never
no,
mind.
that's
I see it.
super. That's the red something,
Yeah.
SP red as well. But no, the Dark Skeleton King's like a dark purplish boost, but I have not
Yeah, I've
had
seen
it. But
it.
I've got probably 8 or 9, maybe 10 different types of boosts, and they all seem to be the same care.
Yeah.
So just real quick, they like stable, established tanks, no ammonia present. Um, if you're not running CO2, don't have them in super high lighting, and that's about treat them like an Anubius that grows
Mhm.
slower. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine is growing really slow.
Yeah,
Really, really slow.
I mean, I've had some little mats of boosts that I've made that I've had for 2, 3 years, and I've only trimmed pieces off twice, 3 times maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a lot of discussion of duckweed. Yeah, keep
And
keeping. I have voluntarily put it in other tanks, and I regret it. And I tell people, I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. It's a lifelong commitment. Duckweed is
yes,
the lifetime of your hobby. I have heard people say they got rid of it, but I have never actually seen someone get rid of it. So I don't know that that's like that's like the fish story. It was this big. I got rid of duckweed. I don't know that that's actually possible. And I've tried different methods. My tried and true is a small net that I have. And the hardest part about that is, like you said, not getting the fry.
yeah.
Um, but I've tried the hair pick, and
Mm, I haven't done
that did
that.
not work for me. That did not work for me. My
Mm.
duckweed's just too small. Oh, Nancy bought ram's horns.
I bought ram's horns when I first got in the hobby.
Yeah. Do Nancy, the tank where the ram's horns are going, are there any shrimp in that tank? I'm just curious. I want to test something. Um,
Um, let's see.
Zen
What do you
Ginger
want to
says,
test with shrimp and ram's horn?
so the 75 has so many ram's horn snails that it's crazy. And it used to have hundreds of red cherry shrimp, and
Mm,
now I really have to look to find red cherries. So I think they're out competing the red cherry shrimp for resources.
Yeah, I could see that. But I
I
also
know they
feel
did
like
with the pond snails.
your swordtails might be doing some good
Oh,
damage.
that's true. I've thought
I've
about
seen
that
some
too because they're pretty big.
swordtails have big mouths, and I've seen them eat or not eat in one bite a full grown shrimp, but they will. I mean,
Yeah,
swordtails are pretty relentless.
you're right.
They'll hammer a shrimp and break it into pieces, and then
You know,
eat
I
it.
did think about that not long ago watching that large male.
Yeah,
And I was like, I wonder if but I've never seen him do anything like that. But that doesn't mean he couldn't. He's got a big mouth.
I will say in the 55 is kind of the shrimp coal mystery shrimp tank, we'll call it.
Yeah.
I have crebensis in there right now, and I still have baby shrimp, and I don't know
Yeah.
how that's happening.
Now I have some red cherries in there. I really have to look for them. As a matter of fact, I've started taking pictures and videoing them when I find them because they're becoming so rare. It's like the Amanos now. But they're in there, but I don't see shrimp fry. Or not fry, shrimplets. I used to find shrimplets all the time, but not anymore. Aquatic Moose is here. And Paul Sotero. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome,
Nancy B
Paul.
says her duckweed came from red root floaters from Aquatic Arts. The red root floaters didn't make it, but the freebie stowaway did. Yeah, it's not fun. Rico stands here. What's up, Rico?
Welcome, Rico.
Good to
Oh,
see you.
and Fish Fam Link.
All
Welcome,
right, now
Fish Fam
did
Link.
not silence this. And it's always a good time to remind everybody or to tell you, if you don't know, fishfam.link is a great resource to find other aquarium related live streams from people who are part of the Fish Fam.
Yeah.
Red babies probably are delicious. I could see that.
Zinni says, helpful hint, when all else fails, hook up a spray bar. Yes, that's definitely true. At surface agitation is the bane of floating plants. I have a spray bar, and it still somehow makes it. But yeah, Nancy's comment with the red and fish liking that, it's got me thinking. I feed the red krill flakes.
Yeah,
I wonder. I wonder if that's like they're like, oh, this little shrimp, that's a krill.
Yeah, we've been conditioning them. Yeah, that's possible.
Fantastic.
So I've got a spray bar in the 75, but I've the way I've positioned my CO2, I've had to turn the spray bar down so that it's not like it's under the water and pushing. Whereas I used to have it pointed kind of up, so it was pushing to one side. What I was going to say earlier, and I don't know how I got off. You all know me. You know how I got off topic. But that end of the tank, one of my biggest problems is I have my large Anubias over there, and it does not like light. And I've got high light on the tank now, so I like keeping cover over it, which is why I always kept the spray bar pushing the duckweed and frog bit and other floating plants over it, which has worked for me. But with the CO2, I have the CO2 going in underneath my intake and coming out that spray bar. So I don't want it pointed to the surface. I have it pointed down so that it's spraying that water throughout the tank, not just up. I don't know if that would impact. I don't want to waste CO2 by just spraying it up to the top of the tank.
Yeah, no, I like to have it in the 120 where it's a somewhat similar setup to yours as far as filtration. I have the CO2 diffuser here and then a power head. So it just hits and then the CO2 bubbles move horizontally and it mixes it a lot better.
Now I could do that too. I do have a power head in the 75 and I could move the diffuser over to in front of it. The problem that I currently have with it, and it's something that I want us to take a look at sometime and see what other options I have. So the co-op power head has really great suction cups on the back. But if you use the suction cups, it just shoots straight. Like you can't turn it.
Ah,
And so I can't get it at an angle. I'd love to be able to put it at an angle. And I
oh, so
thought, I wonder if I can get one of those directional head, like the neck thing, with the duck bill,
yeah.
what I say, whatever that thing's called. I'd love to find one of those that fit it. So if anybody in the chat or on the replay knows of like what size or what brand might fit it, I've actually mentioned this to the co-ops a few times that would like a kit would be great. I mean, you wouldn't. I mean, I would put it in it and include it with the power head. But for those, because they have a ton of power heads out there, it's a kit I would buy day one. Like if they had it, I would just buy it.
So your power head isn't on a movable
Nope.
base.
Nope.
Interesting. So
Yes.
the one that I have has like it's like a ball joint. Like it's got the
Yeah.
socket and the ball joint goes in, so you can move it basically any like that, up, down, left, right.
Yeah. Now that's not like a wave maker fan, right? Or is that also a power head technically?
Yeah, that's not like a wave maker.
Okay. So the co-op power head is like a pump that sits and so
Oh,
you connect it to, like I have it connected to a sponge filter. And so it's pulling through the sponge filter and creating the flow. Now the 75 loves the flow. The Amazon swords hate the flow. And it's hitting them, and I would completely have to rescape the whole thing in order to get away from it. So it's something I need to look at sometime, but we're off topic.
okay. I just looked it up, and so it's more like an internal filter almost
It is. Yep.
style. Okay.
Yep. So we've got another one. Did Mitch just admit to liking duckweed? I don't think I did. Did I?
You said you liked it for the shade that it offers the Anubius.
Well, but I also said that I try to keep frog bit in there to do that. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. I would absolutely get rid of all the duckweed and just have the frog bit because that's so much easier to manage. But yeah, I did not say that. That's not what I meant to say. Yeah, keeping. Don't make fun of duckweed because it'll show up in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. Stare at
It
you.
will.
You.
It sees you when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
It knows when you're awake.
What a creeper. That's what my youngest daughter always said. Santa's a creeper. Let's see. Oh, Stephen P's here. Welcome. Pink flamingo crypt. Ooh, I wonder why. Hygrophilia chai, dwarf baby tears, and we don't say the W one. My pink flamingos are doing pretty good still. I'm really excited that they've not just completely melted away. I guess my light is adequate for them. I have lost a few leaves, but not a lot. I killed my pink flamingo crypts the day after I got them. Ooh.
I've got 12, I think, pink flamingo crypts in the 40. Yeah. They're doing well. I can actually, it's behind me there.
Oh, here.
Ooh, that's so bright. I don't know if that's gonna.
It will. It's adjusting. There we go.
Is it?
It's still point it down a little bit. Yeah, we can see.
Well, it's somewhat adjusted, but those are my pink flamingos. They're doing all right. The chai is one I have not tried, and I don't think I will because of that price tag at the moment.
Right. Yeah. The price tag on some of these. Now I got lucky. I've still got you on solo. Let me pull you off that. I got lucky with the pink flamingo crypts in that Cassandra, one of our local members of the ETAA, had some available. She's been growing them for like a year. I remember when she first got them, and I was like, "Hey, keep me in mind when you start needing to get rid of some of those because I'd like to have a few." And she shared that she had some, and I got 3 of them from her.
Nice.
And not at the price that you would find, online or possibly in the store.
Yeah, I think I got mine for it was $17 maybe at uh, Aquatic Critter in
Yeah.
Nashville,
Uh-huh.
and it was grown immersed and looked horrendous. But I was like, you know what, I'll try it. And
Yeah.
then it took me. I've had it over a year now, maybe close to 2 years, and I've got maybe 20 or so plants from it.
Yeah. I am laughing at Keeping's comment here. I'm going to have nightmares that Santa duckweed in my tanks now.
It's
That's
instead
good.
of coal, it's duckweed.
If you've been a bad Aquarius, Santa sneaks in and leaves duckweed. Oh, that's going to be a thing now. Paul says Higer makes wave makers. I actually do have one of those fan wave maker. I've always called him a wave maker. I'm sure that's a brand, isn't it?
I don't
But
know. I've always called them that.
okay, so I've got one of those to put in this that I can put in the 75. The reason why I didn't is the cord's short, extremely short, and doesn't reach around the tank. So I just need to put a small extension cord on it, just specifically to that one item because everything else has a cord long enough to reach. I don't get it. But it's a thing. Scotty the Fish Freak's here. Welcome, Scotty the Fish Freak.
Welcome. Looks like Stephen P's asking about what light, substrate, and KH on the pink flamingo.
It's high. It's very high.
My KH is pretty high. I need to test it again since I've moved. But
it was 8 drops. So that's like 140 something, 150 on the KH.
Okay.
Because I was testing it there for a while. We were having a discussion in the ETAA about it. We were having a discussion here last week, and Cassandra was in the chat, and she was talking about how she has like 22 drops on her test for KH.
Yeah.
What were the other questions? I didn't see it.
My KH is high. Lighting. I've got the Chihiro's WRGB2 on it, and it's working pretty well. I run it at like 70% ish, 75. And it's you're running the co-op light, aren't you, Mitch?
Yeah, and I did with the CO2 cranking, and I started seeing some growth. I went ahead and bumped it up, so it's back on 100%.
Oh, nice.
And I added the NiCrew light to the tank as well.
Okay.
So that Stephen recommended that. Stephen P. 2003 recommended that, so I did it. And tank's looking good with the 2 lights. The co-op light, I have it in the back, and it's got a nice spread, so it's covering the majority of the tank. And then the NiCrew's towards the front, which gives a nice little light on the front. It also it changes the color a little bit. It's still very. It's not as blue, but it added some blue to it. We need duckweed Santa merch. I have to think through that. What would that look like?
Substrate was the last portion, and I use Mitch uses gravel. I use Aquasoil, like Fluval Stratum mixed with Eco Complete, mixed basically a bunch of random Aquasoils that I have leftovers of, and cap that with sand with Osmocote root tabs.
And I do use co-op root tabs pretty regularly. I make sure mine are still fairly new. They're living off the root tabs that have been there a while. I haven't added any under there. I actually bought some this weekend to add this week.
Nice.
That's why I was going back. I was messaging you. I was like, "Ooh, I have some Osmocote."
Yeah, that's why I get those gel little pill capsules off of Amazon and fill them with Osmocote.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say my biggest fear there, and I keep going back and forth, is that I've got my gravel so large in the 75, which is something I don't like about it. And that's something I've said is the next change coming to the 75. I'm afraid I'll leak too much ammonia if I use too many of those. And that's my biggest fear there, because I'm pretty sure they use ammonia for the food, which, a good tank is, or not a good tank, but an established tank should be able to process if you're not adding too many. But I keep going back and forth. I've used some, you've given me some, and I've put a few in there and didn't have any issues.
Yeah, it'll definitely shoot your nitrates to the roof if you have it exposed. A bit of it exposed. I'm trying to see what they use as their nitrogen source, but Stephen P was saying something with high CEC. That's what I try to shoot for is some base nutrients to start, um, and that, like with some of the more aqua soil style, but then like a lot of clay based substrates I really like just because of the CEC and how long they last.
Yeah. Oh, Brandon's got soft water, KH of 0.
Ah,
Yeah, that I am learning that is a factor for sure. Yeah, DIY Osmocote root tabs freak me out. I did use some. Tanner gave me some, and I used them slowly. I didn't put them all in one time. I had no problems, but because they do use ammonia, I would be careful using them. If you've got a nice compact substrate, though.
try and bury them deep.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to put them in the front of my tank because of that gravel. That gravel's just got so much space, and I'm sure it's more compact than I think. But all right, we've had this plant up on the screen for a while. What is this thing?
Yes.
It looks like a trimmer.
It's very sad. It's a very sad Rotala macrandra that is currently in the tank behind me. It did not do well during the move. It's another plant that I don't dislike it because it's a bad plant. I dislike it because I can't grow it well. I've not been able to figure it out. I had it growing pretty well for a while, real nice, lush and red, but it feels like any minute change messes with this plant pretty good and stunts it, and then it just gets sad and ugly.
So what'd you say this was called again?
Rotala macrandra. If you look it up, you'll see some gorgeous pictures of a nice red thick leaf.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one you've got looks sad.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Oh, wow. I was not expecting that to come up on the search.
I see. I was being vulnerable with this picture. I was letting y'all see.
Hey,
the true tank.
Yeah.
But it. I've seen it like soft water, which I don't have, but I did have it growing real nice, and it just, in my experience, does not like change at all.
2 Hour Aquarius has a whole page dedicated to it. But yeah, that is a nice looking plant when I'm searching for it. So that would be frustrating for sure. I saw Kelly Foreman snuck in. Hello, Kelly Foreman. Thank you for coming by, and thank you for all the help. I want to say you've been a big help to me with the CO2 project and also with the pond. So thank you. I bet Kelly hates all stem plants. Rico, I'm with Rico. Rico says, I hate all the plants that people say are easy, but hate my water. Java fern.
Yeah. I'm a really big hater of the top 5 easy plant searches and like what comes up. Because I'm like, that's not easy. You're just saying you Googled 5 plants and that's what you put down.
Ooh, you know what? That's going to be a live stream. Top 5 easy plants, or are they?
Yet, I think, okay, that's a good one. I think we need to go through and type into Google top 5 easy aquarium plants and go.
Now, don't tell everybody. Somebody will do it tomorrow. Ed might check this out. And no, I'm just kidding.
We have intellectual. That's our IP. But looks like it says. I also am starting to dislike some stem plants just because the ones that grow for me grow too fast, and the ones that don't grow make me sad because they don't grow. I need a medium growth stem plant that isn't hard.
From someone who has struggled with every stem plant, including Bacopa, I would like to grow them. I may get tired of them after I have them for a while, but I see them and I just like, oh, I'd really like to grow a mass of those. And it never works out for me, but I'm hoping the CO2 changes
Yeah,
that.
I felt bad. I took a ton of Bacopa to a local store, and he got it. And he was like, "Man, this looks awesome." And I went back 2 weeks later, and some of it was still there. And he was like, "It melted on me." I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm sorry."
Yeah,
Just set up a CO2 tank on your display. Your plant
I've
cells
had
tank.
plants. I had a hygrophilia. Is that how you say it? I always call
Hydrophila.
it the hygro. Yeah, hygrophilia. I had one of those that Curtis gave me, and he literally said, "Don't plant it. Just throw it in the tank. It'll find a place to live." Mine just found a place to die. It just, I mean,
The
it did not make it any time whatsoever. Like I watched it shrivel, like just melt away. It didn't shrivel, it melted.
it was the Pinatophyta.
Yes, Pinto. Yeah, I had to give it a short name because I just cannot get it to roll off my tongue. Zenny says Kelly hates all the mosses, and yeah, I've heard that. I've heard a lot of people hate mosses,
I
which
have a
I
love-hate
understand.
relationship.
Yeah, I can get it. Like I do like mosses, but I've always kept low energy, low tech type aquariums, and so if I were keeping if I were keeping something like I see in these Google search for that Rotala you're showing, and I had a bunch of I mean, honestly, at that point it's like having hair algae all over the place. Except,
Yeah.
it's maybe a little bit nicer, but I could see not liking that.
Looks like Rico's trying to get my attention. What's going on?
Kelly Foreman about to love Java Fern. Maybe I may have some in there. We'll see.
Yeah, I love Java Fern, but like Stephen P was saying, I think I saw earlier, it'll look ugly unless you use CO2. I agree. Java Fern is
Java Fern.
a massive CO2 hog for
Yeah.
what compared to what people say about it.
Yeah, I'm starting to see it show up in the 75 again, and I've not seen it in a while. And I'm pretty sure it's Christmas moss that's in the 75. So I'm excited to see that start showing up again. Keeping says I'm a hater of chain swords. What? They hate me.
I have that's another plant I have a love-hate relationship with is the chain swords, the vowels, the Sagittarias, all those grass type plants that grow with runners.
Yeah,
They grow too dang fast and they
they
spread
do.
they spread where I don't want them to.
Yeah.
But I will
Yeah,
say I did get from I can't remember who brought it in, but someone at one of the last club meetings brought corkscrew vallisneria.
that's cool looking. I've
And
seen it. Yeah.
it's cool, so I'm trying it out. It's one of the only
Okay.
vowels I have.
Well, I have jungle val, and it's to the point it's ready to be cut again. I'm trying to decide if I want to cut it or not. But it is growing over the area where I have like 4 stem plants left. So I feel like I need to cut it back. Java Fern is easy if you're okay with it being kind of ugly without CO2, and
Yeah.
that's been my experience. I don't like Java Fern. It doesn't like me, so I don't like it. That's how we feel about that.
I like Java. I really want the needle leaf variety. I haven't gotten it yet. I have the Windelov and the normal. I can't remember the name of it, but
Yeah.
it looks like Nancy B was the one who brought the corkscrew valve. That makes sense. Well, I love it. It's a really cool valve and cool plant to have. So thank you.
Zenny's talking about micro sword. That's a plant that I've got a ton of swords. My micro sword's gone. I have no idea what happened to it. It never became anything. And I know people talk about how great it is. It just disappeared for me.
Yeah, I had it in the 40 before I moved, and I took it out because it grew. I think CO2 is a big factor with it, and also fine. It likes finer substrates like sands. I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it just grew. It grew everywhere except for where I wanted it to.
Yeah. Rico's still saying Tanner, or at least I've gotten to the part where Rico's saying Tanner. Did he ever say what he wanted?
He said he wanted me to say what. so he could say hi. I forgot what I said. I said, "Hey Rico." Oh, so I messed it up. I'm sorry.
Uh, Rotala. Kelly says she's famous for my hatred of Rotalas. Um, I like Ludwigias better than Rotalas.
Yeah,
If we're talking about your more common stems.
I think I do too. I think my favorite two stem plant genuses are the hygrophillas and your pugostemons.
Yeah. Now, what's the pogostemon that you have that you gave it to me and it was just immaculate and then it just melted away in my tank like every other plant?
So it wasn't pogostemon octopus. It was oh my
No, I have
goodness,
octopus, which I
pogostemon
can.
stellatus.
Well,
Stellatus.
pogostemon stellatus octopus is pogo octopus.
Yeah, so it's a different type of. It's like
Okay.
a more compact version. I actually
Yeah,
don't have
that plant
that
was awesome.
anymore.
Oh,
That's a plant I need to get. I need to get it back.
that was a
Actually,
gorgeous plant.
funny anecdote. Me and a couple people around Nashville have each gotten plants from each other,
Uh-huh.
completely lost that plant in our own tanks, and
Oh
then
no,
the other person, like the person that got the plant from say me, was like, "Hey, I still have this plant." I was like, "Can I please get a little
some
piece of it?"
clippings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
but yeah, Stephen P said it, the Pogo erectus or the stellata, not stellatus.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
But anyways, that was an awesome plant. But then you've got the octopus, you've got the helpheri, just some really cool, and the gai. That's another cool.
Yeah. Now the piece of bulbitis, because I see Nano Aquarium guys mentioning bulbitis. That piece of bulbitis you gave me is still growing.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
Yeah, bulbitis is a
Rick,
very cool plant.
Rico says I like when the hair algae sticks to the substrate too and looks like carpet. I have seen some really cool tanks with hair algae as a carpet. The 75's currently got a little bit of hair algae going on. So I'm trying to, I turned the light up. It had hair algae from when I was gone in June. And I've been removing it in July. I added CO2 towards the end of July, and then I bumped up the lighting. So I'm trying to give it some time to like find its balance and not freak out. But there's an awful. I'm going to show a few pictures here in just a moment, which we're about out of time. Yeah, I got a little bit of hair algae going on right now up in the plants. Zinni's talking about Reneki in my CO2 tank 3 days ago, thinking at least it's a pretty stem and it's almost melted away. I'll tell you what, I put some outside in the pond in the bog filter that I built, and it is growing crazy. And at some point, I'm hoping the 75 is ready for it because at some point I'm going to bring it inside and start trying to convert it. I need to start doing some research on how I could do that. Because I want to keep that going. It's gorgeous right now. Paul, what's your, do you have hard water or soft water? Paul's talking about Java Fern and CO2. I know there's people that have Java Fern that looks good without CO2, but there's something different in our water chemistry. And I used to always say it's probably the potassium, but I don't know that it is the potassium because I'm putting a lot of potassium in the tank.
Stephen P is saying water parameters can affect the presence of CO2 and its bioavailability. Are you meaning with KH or that's not something I've heard? I would like to know more about that. I did not know that.
Oh, so Kelly asked the same question. Okay. I'm just not getting down there. So let's go to the next one. Let's pull up the next one. I think this was one I shared. Yeah. And I have shared my disappointment in this plant. When I got this, one, I didn't know enough to know that it would never get red. Apparently there's green strains and red strains. I don't know. And I don't care enough about the plant to find out at this point. But I was super excited. The 75 was doing great by this point. I was real happy with how it was growing in. I was like, you know what? Let's add another plant. And so I got this, and with the intentions of keeping it cut low. I didn't want it to grow up to the surface. I wanted to grow out a little bit, so I kept it cut. And I did experience plants around it dying back. And then it was not long after that that the blackbeard algae showed up, and I had never had it before until I experienced an imbalance because my nitrates plummeted. This thing is a hog, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but my nitrates plummeted and everything suffered from it. And that was when I first got really bad BBA. And I fought that for a while because I didn't know how to do it. And, you look online, this is one of the things I hate about the hobby online. You look online and you find some forum where somebody says, take everything out and dip it in peroxide for, no more than 30 seconds. And in your regular off the shelf hydrogen peroxide. And in reality, you should just, spray it. Don't dip it for any amount of time. Yeah. And this person even said, make sure you don't get the roots in there. So like there was enough information to where I was like, oh, maybe this person knows what they're talking about. No, I won't go to a forum anymore for information. But I did eventually just pull this plant out and chuck it. I got tired of it. Because all of my problems happened after I got it. And it may not have been related. Maybe one of these days I try it again. I don't know why I would. But the red ones do look cool. But yeah.
I had one and I ended up chucking it as well just because it took so many nutrients out.
Yeah.
It was like it created that crater around it where nothing would grow.
Things started dying back. Yeah. Let's see. Low KH makes CO2 more bioavailable.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So I
need to do some reading.
regretted. I really regretted adding this plant though. And it was a plant I really wanted. Like there were several times I almost got it and was like, no, I don't really have a space for it. And so I started trying. You can see where I left space for it. And it was even in sand, which I was putting root tabs. Wait, do they feed off the column or not?
Both.
Remember. I think I was putting
they're
root
heavier
tabs
root feeders.
Yeah. I was trying to keep it fed so I'd leave everything else alone. Low KH water is magic for plants. You can get away with a lot. Yeah, that's what I'm finding, Kelly. And what's strange is, is 143 really high? I thought it was, but Cassandra has me guessing since she's got like 1,000 and something.
Yeah, mine's about where yours is, and yeah. I've grown every plant with CO2, but the only plants I can't grow are the ones that are like they only grow in soft water, or at least I can still, the ones that prefer soft water I can still grow, just not as good. They don't look as nice, like the Macrandra.
Gotcha. Well, you have one more plant on the list, so let's put it up there.
Oh yeah, this is almost an honorable mention, and that's a nausea grass or guppy grass. And I like it. I like it for a lot of breeding tanks. I love it. I adore it. And it's awesome. But it's like duckweed. It spreads everywhere and it fragments. And it's just very hard. Once you get it, it's hard to get rid of from a tank because it'll keep popping up. That's my only beef with guppy grass. Otherwise, it's a phenomenal plant.
Yeah, I've not had that problem. I have some in the 25, but it's not been a problem for me. But the 25 is not an escaped tank. It's really just holding some stuff. Kelly says that's not high. Talking about my KH. Her KH was 22 degrees when she lived in Iowa.
Oh, wow.
And that's what Cassandra said. I think 22 was what Cassandra said she had. PTSD inducing KH. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But this plant has a lot of uses in the hobby, but it's not nice in a planted tank. or an escape
Yeah,
tank, not a plant tank, an escape tank.
it's not an aquascape tank just because you can't. It grows everywhere.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. It just forms a huge mass.
Yep. Yeah, it's good for a grow out tank or a breeding tank. You want formaldehyde in it, but that's really all the uses it has. Well, we are out of time. I don't know if anyone was going at 10, so I was going to add this real quick. I've told stories about my first planted tank. This was when I tore it down. This was my first. So when I say I never had BBA in the 75, this is pre 75. This was a 10-gallon. But yeah, this tank, and it looked worse than this at times. And I've not had Wendelov since I threw out this plant. But at this point, and I think I've shared this before, I had just tried plants for the first time. I wasn't going to a local store, so I picked these up at a PetSmart, in the little tube. And I was not dosing any fertilizer, and I had very few fish. So they didn't have any nutrients, and they were getting a ton of light. And so that was the result. And then this was the first time I had some success with plants. And what's kind of cool, and so the reason why I'm sharing these, I was looking for plant pictures of plants I hate, and I came across this album that I have of some of my tanks, and I came across these, and I was like, okay, this was when I first had success with the 25. And what's really cool about this is that Anubias is actually the Anubias you got a piece of. That Amazon sword is the sword that all of my Amazon swords have come from. And these chain swords are still in my tank. Well, chain swords from these chain swords are still in my tank. That piece of Java Fern is in Chattanooga Ed's tank. And the water sprite just eventually melted. Like it's crazy because it grew forever. Oh, that's the water sprite I was talking about where it bent over and broke on the way home because it was so big. That's a 25 tall. It goes even taller than that picture because I had to crop it some.
Do you remember where you got that Anubias from?
Yes, JKS.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say because I remember selling you Anubias.
Yeah, you sold me Nana Petite.
Okay, because I was curious. I was about to say that's crazy because if I had gotten a piece back of that Anubias that I had sold you so many years ago before we even knew
each other.
We knew each other, that would be pretty funny. But
yeah, no, I only bought stems because I had just gotten that Nicrew light and I wanted to see what it could do. And so we were talking about some of the easier stems that day, and that's what I bought. It was a lot of Ludwigi and some Rotala. I've got pictures of that too. And let's see. This was the day I set up the 75 and moved everything over. Very, very empty looking. But that was the night. The night I set it up. And then I think there was one more. Oh, so this is you see the hair algae. This is the current 75. I'm starting to get I want to call them aerial roots, but I don't know what we call them in a tank. I'm starting to get the little roots off these stems.
Yeah.
Which these stems before adding the CO2 were melting. They were all, the cardinal plant, not so much melting, but it wasn't growing. But you see mixed in here is a piece of that super red, and it's got roots.
Oh yeah, out. I see it. It'll do that. But nice. If it were me, I would let it grow a little bit more.
That's what I'm doing. I'm not messing with it yet.
Couple sets of leaves on it, and then trim it and replant it. That way, you'll have a full stem of leaves. But that's awesome. That's exciting.
This is a picture of one of those Amazon swords. There's only 2 left on that stem. This was covered in blackbeard algae because it was getting hammered with that flow, high flow and CO2 fluctuations. But it's 2 weeks of CO2, it started to clear up. You can see where the blackbeard, like if you could, I didn't find a picture of what it looked like recently, but 2 weeks ago, this had blackbeard all over it.
Oh, wow.
And of course, you see the ram's horns are on it too. I think the ram's horn snails will eat blackbeard when it dies, which I think most will when it dies. But and this mess, there's a few things in this picture. One, there's a stem plant that I didn't even know was in the tank that just showed up. And it's got this white root right here. It just, like, I don't have it growing anywhere else unless it's a small, no, it's not in that picture. I've got another picture. Maybe it's this plant, but you can also see this moss. The moss was all gone. I had not seen the moss in a while. But you can see these little white roots growing everywhere. So things are starting to grow in the 75. And then this anacris right here has got some roots growing off of it, which I think was always happening. But this stem plant right here, and I don't remember what it's called. I'd have to go back and watch the live stream. I think Stephen P gave me the name of it, but that might be the same plant that just randomly started growing in this moss algae farm that's going on right here.
That looks like a type of hydrophila.
Maybe it is. I don't know. It's small. Like, I've zoomed in. Well, you see the fry on the right hand side.
Yeah.
There's a little, that's a fairly new fry. But yeah, so things are changing in the 75. It's a lot of fun. I did do a video kind of showing, I think it was a little over a week difference to see what was different. So I'm trying to get that out before the weekend because I'm going to be very busy this weekend. I have missed a lot of the chat, but we are out of time. I do want to thank everyone who made it out. Maybe it's Creeping Jenny, and it could be Aquatic Moose says it's Creeping Jenny. I have Creeping Jenny. I have kept Creeping Jenny in my tanks before, and I currently have it out in the pond and in multiple places in my flower beds and stuff. I'll look at it. Maybe that's it. Kelly Foreman said that's Black-Eyed Susan vine. Are you talking about me? Something else.
I think they're talking about Kelly's garden from what I read, but I can't. I missed some of the chat
makes
too.
More sense. I was like, I don't think it is, but maybe it is. And then when she said black, I was like, no, I don't think that translates at all. But thank you all. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Hope you're having a great week. And be on the lookout for a video. I'd like to share what's going on with the 75. There's more. That was just a few pictures. It's a taste. It's just a little taste. But enjoy your tanks. We'll talk with you later. I don't know where talk to you later came from.